No. Do I need police assistance? Damn. They don't like hanging out, man. It's weird. It's weird, guys. A veteran with a camera phone does a lot. Well, that was the show, guys. That was the show. Was the show. Taking a stroll. Taking a stroll through the neighborhood. Foster, dude. Yeah. Foster. Uncle Fester. Is that what you mean, Uncle Fester? Uncle Fester. Oh, fuck. That's hilarious. Yeah, we're just checking out the fire department. Beautiful day out. Downtown Wayne. I know you're going to ask, what downtown? That downtown, right? It's not much of a downtown because I think like the vast majority of the buildings in downtown Wayne are like basically boarded up at this point. I mean, they might still look like functional on the outside, but they're kind of like not really doing so well. Downtown Wayne isn't, unfortunately. I mean, but when you're, grifting, right? Like over here, right, at the Wayne Fire Department, when you're grifting to the extent that these people are, I mean, there just simply isn't any money in the budget for much else, right? And then, of course, all the mismanagement, leads to deficits, right? So then in order to make up for those deficits, the government has to basically tax the living shit out of anyone who remains, right? So like anyone who's productive, who takes care of their house and whatnot, they have to, pay the difference, so to speak. You know what I mean? They got to make up the difference, right? Because under no circumstance whatsoever can the grifters be disenfranchised in any way, right? And what I mean by disenfranchised is no way can the grifting class not get more of your tax money, right? So like your tax money is their entitlement. It's really their welfare, and so under no circumstance can they take less or have to work with less, right? Or have to make, tough decisions about who to hire, who to fire, right? It's just simply not possible for them. But yeah, I mean, as you can see again, all the trash and the wetland here, which of course, is something that should be paid for by public dollars, right? I mean, public dollars, we pay enough. We should have immaculate streets, and definitely, the wetland right outside the fire department here, should be looking better than that. But that would mean that these guys would have to get off their ass and actually do something. And that simply, obviously, must not be in the union contract, right? It must not be in their contract. Not part of their job description. Their job description is to sit in this building and watch YouTube videos, right? Watching YouTube videos with different, guns, right? Gun YouTube videos, right? Looking at guns, right? Handguns on the clock with taxpayer money. So it is interesting. Modern brick sidewalks look nice. Looks like they need a bicycle lane. Usually grant money pays for modernization of firehouses. Yeah, but I don't think the grants pay for, you know, the actually have it, right, to fund all the salaries and the operations. Well, that comes out of your millage, right? I mean, there was a number of years ago, the previous administration had grifted their way to the people, right? They were grifting the idea that they needed to increase their millage for their police and fire department, but I think it was mainly the fire department, but it may have very well been both. They were closed on Juneteenth. We were closed on June 19th in observance of the holiday. Damn, they don't even want to say it. Well, that's good. The holiday. Yeah, it's not a real holiday, it's a joke. Usually grant money. I see you too, buddy. I see you too. How you doing? How you doing, Big Poppy? Hello. I like the atmosphere tonight. You know, I like those new cops. They get on with it real quick. They don't hang around, right? They're like, hey, you need help? Nope. They fucking are out of there. That's how I like them. Seen but not heard, right? Preferably neither, but definitely prefer. Oh, I guess I'd prefer. Yeah, I prefer neither. I don't want to hear them either, really, or not. Let alone see them. I don't want to even. It's a traumatic, experience every time I have to look at those police cars and those people in police uniforms, and it's not a good sight. It's definitely a way to kill your high, that's for sure, right? Definitely killer of your high, right? I mean, if you were high on life or anything for that matter, and then you see them, I mean, talk about a buzzkill, guys. I mean, you could have the biggest stiffy in the world, right? You could see the hottest woman you've ever seen, and then you'll see Wayne PD pull up, and your shit will just shrivel on away. It'll gummy worm up real quick. It'll go gummy right up. Talk about a fucking buzzkill. Golly. Joe Soup. Yeah, I only got 6,000 people in my town. I only got 6,000 people in my town. Volunteer fire department. Exactly, right? That's exactly what this place should be. Volunteer fire department. People that want to do it because they actually like their community. They don't want to cause lawsuits to their community. They're not pillaging money away from their community, right? And like I said, you just simply can't justify having a full-time, fully staffed, fully operational fire department in a town like this, right? They got to put up these signs, right? Because they don't want you hanging out outside over there in the parking lot. But of course, the wetlands are open to anybody. The wetlands are open to anybody back there. So, I mean, there's no signage over there, right, yet, right? I'm sure now, after this video is posted, I'm sure within maybe a week, they'll have some sort of signage, right? But you can't really block access to that part of the, that's kind of a public easement, so. Yeah. But, they'll certainly try. They like to violate people's rights, or try to put up the because as you can see, guys, I do want to draw your attention back. Now that I have it, I do want to draw your attention back to these cameras here, right? So when I was assaulted by Lisa Cobaney, let me kind of run you through it, right? So these two cameras right here, right, which conveniently Ryan Strong, the chief of police, he said that they were non-operable. But it looks like now they're what? Let's see here. Can you make that out? Let me try to get in a better position here. I don't know. I'm not seeing doesn't look very good. But yeah, if you can see that camera right there, right, that one right there. I don't know. It looks like some green tape or something. So yeah, I don't know. And then of course you got this one right here, which again Same exact camera. Looks brand new. I mean, if I'm being totally frank with you. I mean, it looks like fucking brand new. But yeah, apparently both of those cameras conveniently, conveniently didn't, apparently, they weren't operable, of course. I'd really love to see the proof of that, right? I'd really love to see the records to support that theory, because I find that hard to believe. I mean, I don't, but I do, right? Like, I understand, like, these people are pure evil and incompetent. See, they blocked the window out. They blacked out now, right? You see that? Because you used to be able to kind of see, you used to be able to see right through it. But now they've blocked the window out. That's kind of like their way of fixing the problem. Is like, okay, we're just going to give you less transparency, and then we're going to put up these signs. And then, of course, those two cameras right there that just conveniently, this just didn't work, It's interesting. It's very, some green tape or something right there. So I don't know what that's supposed to signify, but yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah, their cameras never work, and if they do, they lose the footage. Yeah, lose the footage, right? So right here, guys, I'm standing right here, right? I'm about right here. She flips me off, right? Bangs on the door, yells, and flips me off, provoking me, trying to get my attention, right? So I stick the camera, like this, right? And then, boom, right here. See, I'm standing right here, guys. Let me zoom out. Let me see here. So just to give you a reference of how narrow this space is. So I wear a size about 11, 10 and a half, right? So we'll just say toe to toe is about a foot, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, like 4 feet, right? So basically 4 feet, right? So I'm standing, about right here, right? About right here, give or take, right? Because I have a pretty short, arm, right? It's not that long, so. I'm standing right here, and then boom, right? The door just gets slammed into me, right? And, as she's, claiming that she's calling the police, which, if you're calling the police because, you're bothered by somebody's presence outside, well, as you can see, this door is locked from the outside, right? You can't actually, like, get in this door from the outside. So you can open it from the inside, right? So there's absolutely zero reason whatsoever that if somebody was bothered by somebody's presence, if somebody's inside this building, right, and they're bothered by somebody's presence outside the building, the last thing, you would do would be, bang on the door, right? Bang on the door, get the person's attention, flip them off, right? And then, start screaming, the police are coming, right? It really wouldn't be a good tactic, right? Because, then they could, I guess, run away or something, right? So, the appropriate thing to do, I guess, if they were committing a crime and it was actually a valid reason to call the police, which of course it wasn't, but had it been a valid reason or whatever, the only thing that would have made any sense, right, would of course to have been quiet, to not announce yourself to the person that you're bothered by, and then call the police or whatever, wait for them to arrive, right? And that would make sense, right? But you definitely wouldn't you wouldn't be banging on the door, you wouldn't be flipping people off, right? You wouldn't be doing all that. And then of course you definitely wouldn't open this door, right, and then slam it into the person that you're claiming to be scared of or whatever, threatened by or harassed or whatever pejorative bullshit you're trying to use. You just definitely wouldn't do any of that, right? Because that would kind of it would kind of not make a whole lot of sense, right? Because then that seems like you're just escalating the situation, right? Which again, and then of course slamming a door like this, right, with this type of handle, this type of material, this could kill somebody. This can seriously harm somebody, and that's just, like I said, I don't know, it's strange, right? It's definitely peculiar behavior, but it's assault and battery, right? And it's using an instrument like a door as a weapon, right? It's an improvised weapon essentially. And, one would argue that's a deadly weapon, right? That's a serious weapon that can cause serious damage to a human being, right? That's not like, slapping somebody, pushing somebody, spitting on somebody, right? That's obviously wrong and that should be punished, but you know, slamming a door into somebody, I mean, that's obviously kind of like next level shit, right? That's like, you know, that's a pretty decent escalation. Right? That's quite a escalation, right? That I don't, you know, find to be very necessary, right? I don't think most people would find that to be necessary, right? If you're so scared of somebody or somebody's outside, you know, you wouldn't slam a door into them and, you know, all that. That just, you know, kind of defeats the whole I'm scared narrative a little bit. So yeah, at that point you become the aggressor and you're becoming, you know, you became a criminal, right? That's what Lisa Kobani is, because she committed, you know, criminal battery on video, live stream on May 20th, 2026. And yeah, it's interesting, guys. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, hey, they're on the move, guys. They're on the move. The fire department's on the move, guys. On the move. They're on the move. Yeah, they fit a bunch of them in the back of those too, right? So you might see a couple up front, but then you're going to see several in the back as well. So it is very much a waste of, you know, taxpayer money. But really, this whole thing is. I mean, this whole operation is a waste of taxpayer money. And, you know, I would rather just see Wayne, you know, move forward, right? I'd rather see Wayne, you know, God, just think of how much better life would be for the average person if this was all part of Westland, right? If the entire city of Wayne, or at least, you know, the parts that want to be part of Westland, or Canton Township, or Romulus, right? I mean, at this point, even Inkster, even fucking Inkster, man, anything is better than this. And obviously, we're going to try to salvage it. Obviously, we're going to try to make it better, improve on it, right? I mean, there's obviously much we can improve on, but will it be enough to really, you know, move the needle? I don't know, guys. My heart tells me no. My brain tells me no. My heart tells me yes. But yeah, I mean, the urban decay, you know, the businesses that have closed down in Wayne. I mean, it's the prognosis isn't good, guys, and I would never, of course, want to count anybody out. But you know, I'm looking at a total rebuild. Like if I was looking at the city of Wayne like a vehicle or a house, right? I mean, I'm basically tearing all the walls out. I'm probably just bulldozing the whole thing and starting over, right? New foundation, new everything. They're really, I mean, Wayne's got good bones, right? As far as like the pieces are all there. I mean, but it's just the mismanagement and the laziness and the complacency. I mean, it's really fuck. It's added up. You know, it's taken its toll. And you know, I'm an optimistic guy, people. I won the Optimist Award 2 years in a row in Gratiot County, Michigan. You know, I'm very much you know, an optimist person, right? Optimistic person, but you know, I got to be realistic. I mean, it's not looking good, guys. I mean, and you know, for the future of the city of Wayne, just from a purely economic standpoint, right? From a financial standpoint, from a tax-based standpoint, right? I mean, you're talking about the taxes, man, are already through the fucking roof. And anyone who does anything to their house, right, even if it's something they can't legally, you know, up your tax bill for having, right, like replacing your roof or your gutters or new windows or doors or whatever, it doesn't stop the city from doing it anyways, right? They do what they want. And you know, It's not unique to just Wayne. I mean, all the courts, all of the government, they do what they want, right? I mean, they do not what they're allowed to do, what the Constitution affords them the ability to do, right? They don't follow that. They, just kind of do what they want. What's the precedent? What's the custom? What's the policy? What's the tradition? What's the protocol, right? What's the policy? Policy, right? The policy enforcers, right? It's I don't think electing one or two or three people. I mean, Mulholland, like I said, I like Mulholland, Matthew P. Mulholland. I like him as far as, he really gives a shit about the city. He puts his money where his mouth is, of course. So you got to respect that. You got to respect it. But, I'm not sure about his stamina as far as, I know he's a tough cookie. I know, he's on the side of reason and evidence, but, I just don't know if we've seen him on the council before, and, I don't know if he's got enough bite, if that makes sense. He's certainly, vastly superior to anybody on the city council currently. Anybody. And, like I said, him and Eric Clearyman were on the council together. They, to my knowledge, I mean, I don't think they really, did much, or, I'm not sure, right? But, I don't know. I mean, definitely wouldn't call him status quo. Definitely would rather have him than anyone else, outside of me, of course. But, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the other two candidates that are newly running, Mac and Roshan or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I know that if you think you're going to go in here and you're going to play ball with them, or, you're going to try to, play them at their own game. I mean, if you think you're going to, fawn over them, right? That's what a lot of people do when they get into politics. They try to fawn and make friends. And, if you go in with that approach, I instantly lose basically all respect for you, right? Because you're not going to get anything done, right? Eventually, you're just going to become kind of like them more and more, and or they're never going to accept you anyways. But, ultimately, that doesn't do anything, right? What does things is consistently getting reason, evidence, logic, and undeniable truths on the record early and often, as much as you can. That's really what collectively moves the needle, is when you you just continuously get the record, right, established, and you say what needs to be said, right, what's really truthful, the agenda, right? If you see mistakes, you make a record of it, and if those in power want to ignore the obvious, then of course it's a free country, you can do whatever you want, right, so to speak. But at least it's like going to court, right? You can't control what the judge is going to do. You can't control the bullshit that the opposition is going to pull, or what they're going to say, right? But you can get your objection on the record. You can make it known for the record. You can preserve the record for appeal, right, or for preservation, right? I mean, you never know. You never know who's watching, who's listening, and build a history, build a narrative, build a case against these people, because that's ultimately how you bring them down, is document, observe and report, and that over time is gonna, I believe, get you a lot further, collectively, right, by the city at large, right? You're gonna find you're gonna find a better resolution than you would if you tried to go in there and be nice and play pussy ball with them, and You know, which flavor of ice cream do you like? Oh yeah, you know, it's like non-consequential shit, right? Inconsequential shit. You know, things that really truly just don't fucking matter at the end of the day, right? Things that are ultimately designed to distract you, to get you off what's really important, right? To get your attention away from what's really important, right? Because they don't want you to see, well, you know, that 10%, right? Oh yeah, we were, you know, 10% contingency, right? You know, well, that's just a way for them to grift, right? Because then they can, you know, they can go with quote unquote the lowest bidder, and then the lowest bidder knows that they get 10%. You know, they have a 10% cushion, so they can just say, hey, just come in at the lowest bid, and you know, you got that 10% buffer anyways, you know, so you're good to go. Yeah, so we can get, you know, whichever one we want, right? It's all a grift, right? It's all a grift, and you know, these people are fucking morons, right? These people have no idea what they're doing. No idea what they're doing. Let me repeat myself. The City of Wayne department heads, the police department, fire department, city manager's office, city council's office, especially the city council's office, they all collectively have no fucking idea what they're doing at all. Like they are the most incompetent people I have ever, like going into those hearings, right? Those last few hearings, right, where Bosnick, right, was basically, you know, Michael Bosnick essentially was the sacrificial lamb. You know, the city of Wayne, you know, Carrie Miller bounced out. She peaced out. She said, okay, I'm done with this. This is a kind of a career ender right here, you know, type of case. So, you know, she's like, she already knows she's cooked, right? Professionally, she's cooked. And so, you know, she's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out. You know, this is just getting to be, you know, undeniable malicious prosecution, right? So they send it over to Bosnick, right? Bosnick is, of course, you know, kind of like the cleanup boy, right? The cleanup guy, right? And so they send Bosnick in, man, and Bosnick just gets fucking slaughtered, right? Gets slaughtered in court, you know, the last few hearings, right? And because he, you know, the city of Wayne and Carrie Miller are making him defend the undefendable, right? I mean, literally, imagine you maliciously prosecute somebody without any probable cause, and then the judge is just sitting there like, yeah, you never had an ordinance, and then you passed an ordinance after the fact. Your rules go from one page to 5 pages, right? And you know, the judge is just shaking his head, and Bosnick is just red as a fucking tomato, right? And like, I had some secondhand embarrassment, to be honest with you, like in those last few hearings. I mean, throughout the whole thing, right? Because you know, it was clear that the judge was beginning to, you know, kind of see, you know, it was undeniable, right? You know, the judge can only carry you so far, right? And you know, when it's just like, just unmistakably undeniable what's going on, you know, then of course the judge is going to try to save themselves, right, and cover their own ass, because you know, that's, you know, it's every man for themselves. Like, they're on the same team and everything to an extent, right? But a lot of them aren't going to go down with the ship, right? They're not going to go down with Carrie Miller's sinking ship, right? Her sinking prosecution, right? So she, you know, got on the lifeboat and left Bosnick there to, you know, man the ship while it's sinking. And it was really secondhand embarrassment, you know, having to, you know, even witness what I witnessed, right? Which was just complete buffoonery, complete incompetence, complete and utter failure. I mean, you want to talk about the failure hood, right? I mean, Cy Porter, he's a home inspector, right? I watch his videos sometimes because he's great, right? Eye for detail, and you know, he inspects these brand new homes, right? And fucking finds just all sorts of crazy shit wrong with them. And it's the same pattern over and over and over and over and over again, right? And so he's like, he's got this saying, right? Another day in the failure hood, right? And yeah, that's what the city of Wayne is. I mean, it's a big failure hood, right? It squandered, right? Pissed away, right? Idolizing Al Haynes and, you know, bums like Al Haynes and Abdul Haynes, right? Yeah. idolizing bums like that, and then, of course, whacking disabled veterans like Mr. John Zook Jr., and then, of course, maliciously prosecuting disabled veterans like DeVincent, Leland McFarlin, and then, of course, the Mark Blackwell case, which, just busted it wide open, right? I mean, you want to talk about a god in my eyes. Mark Blackwell is a god in Wayne, Michigan, as far as I'm concerned, okay? Because Mark Blackwell did what, nobody else had done it until him, right? Nobody else had just said enough of the nigger bullshit, right? Enough is enough is enough. I'm done with this fucking buffoonery, with this chicanery, with this just bamboozle, right? This prostitution of government, right? Because that's what it is. Prostituting the powers of government, right, is what the city of Wayne specializes in, his expertise in, right? And I'm just so thankful to Mr. Blackwell for having the fucking courage, right, and the spine to tell these sick fucks to get fucked, right? And to just go elbow deep in their fucking ass. I love it. I love every second of it. And I can't wait to watch the hearing July 8th. The Blackwell hearing. I can't wait to watch. And just after I hear the judge just spank the living fuck out of the city of Wayne and tell them how just incompetent they are. Because that's what, I can't wait. I just can't wait. I just cannot fucking wait. I'm probably going to bust a nut at the end of it. I hope I bust, right? I'm already, just kidding. Right? It's a figure of speech. Calm down, you crazy fucks. Don't get your panties in a bunch, okay? I know, right? It's a scary, vulgar world out there, and sometimes people like to let loose, right? Sometimes people like to let loose. Sometimes people like to say, "Hey, motherfucker, how you doing?" Sometimes people just say, "Bitch," right? You guys ever see The Unforgivable, right? You guys ever watch The Unforgivable? Old YouTube video, old school YouTube, right? But there's a part in it where he goes, "Bitch," right? It's like, sometimes, that's what you got to do. Sometimes that's how you feel, right? Sometimes you feel like talking shit. You feel like running your mouth. You feel like chin wagging. You know what chin wagging is? Chin wagging. It means talking shit. It means telling it like it is. It means fuck you. That's what it means. You don't like it, tune out. Bye. Nobody's going to miss you. No one gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck about a pig on this channel. I know that for a fucking fact. Except for the pigs that watch this channel. Because they got so much work to do, right? They're just, their job is so necessary to society that they have time to watch a guy on YouTube talk to himself and his audience, right? They have all the time in the world for that, right? But they're out there writing 200 tickets, right? 200. I don't think they wrote 20 tickets. 200 fucking tickets. I saw a guy completely wrap his, just ask, here guys, you guys want to know? Reach out to Elsa Zamora, right? She lives on Glover Street in Wayne. Reach out to Miss Zamora and ask Miss Zamora about the city of Wayne and their traffic enforcement. I'll let her tell you the story, because she knows it way better than I do. It happened right across the street from her house, and she'll tell you. She'll tell you exactly all about, in great detail, about the city of Wayne and enforcing reckless driving and all that, right? All that good shit, right? She'll blow your mind, people. Let me just put it that way, right? She'll blow your fucking mind. She blows my mind every time, and she's just a woman. She's just a, little Mexican woman who, she's the sweetest little thing, right? And, she just is completely, she used to live in Detroit, right? And she's like, just can't believe how more dysfunctional. She left Detroit because of how dysfunctional it was, and then she gets to Wayne and realizes, oh my God, this is even worse. This is even more dysfunction. And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, that's our zip code, baby. That's our fucking zip code. And yeah, we gotta do something about this shit, guys. I mean, it's just no bueno, guys. This shit's unacceptable. I mean, this shit really is just completely and utterly and totally fucked. I mean, for the lack of better terminology, it's fucked. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. Let's see here. Probably a fire code violation blocking the vision of that glass. Or at least a safety violation so you don't brush someone with the door. Right. Exactly my point. How are, the window's there for a reason, right? Right? The window was put there for a reason, and now the window's blocked, which, yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. That's something I never even considered. It probably is a fire code violation, ironically, blocking the vision of that glass, or at least a safety violation so you don't brush somebody with the door. Right. Well, how are you gonna know? You just gotta hope and pray no one's right outside of the door. And then of course you're crunched in right there. So it's not like you have a whole lot of room to maneuver and move around, right? I mean, you're fucking like you're sandwiched in that whole space, right? So imagine, right, you're just chilling by the door, and then boom, right? You just get the door slammed into you, right? So that's one way to prevent, your worker from Lisa Kobani I'm talking about. That's one way for the city of Wayne to prevent their worker from being able to, well, I guess, intentionally slam doors into people, right? Because, if you can't see, when you're slamming the door open, right? I guess that, but, they're of course doing it so people, can't, what they consider harass them, which is actually just, auditing them, public transparency, right? Which is perfectly legal. Videotaping public employees during their duties, right, which is completely and totally and utterly allowable, and thank God for the First Amendment. Yeah, definitely a safety violation. The glass is there for a reason, and it's not sunshine. No, it's so you can, so you don't slam the huge door into somebody, right? Imagine if a kid's out there, an elderly person, right, or a disabled veteran, right? Imagine that, and then you just push the door open, right, and then boom, then you're trapping someone against that wall or that rail or whatever, and that ledge, right? I mean, it's very very true, very fucking true. And do you think the city of Wayne would think that far ahead? That's a big stretch, right? I'm talking a stretch like the size of your mama's loose pussy, right? That type of stretch. And I'm telling you, there ain't no elasticity in that pussy, just like there's no elasticity in the decision makers, right? The decision makers of Wayne, right? There's no intellectual elasticity that would allow them to be able to, play devil's advocate, right? Because in order to play devil's advocate, you got to have a modicum of integrity and of, integrity, right? Character. And so, I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed by now, but the city of Wayne seems to be lacking in that sort of thing just a tad bit, right? They don't. The city of Wayne doesn't appear to be trained at all, right, in anything other than charging people with interference, right? Which they did the same thing to our boy Zan, right? Zan shows me his fucking video, and I'm like, wow, January of 2025, huh? The same year, huh? Just a few months apart. Right, that's their go-to, guys. That's their interfering is their go-to, right? They're going to fill up the mayor's swimming pool. 1983, there was a lot of skid marks on that door. Yeah, I mean, of course, right? I mean, that's like I said. I mean, you think these people have the ability to think into the future? I mean, these people don't even know what probable cause is. I mean, you're literally showing them that there's no ordinance, it's just a policy, and you're begging them. You're literally begging these people to leave your property so it doesn't cost the city of Wayne a shit ton of money and the taxpayers and all that, right? You're trying to avoid all of that, right? And they're just like, no, fire marshal said so. Fire marshal said so. Open burn ordinance, aka policy, aka policy, actual policy. Open burn policy, says we can, so we're going to. And it's just like, And then you're like, oh, but you swore an oath to the Constitution, right? That's what you swore an oath to? I said, isn't that something? You swore an oath to the Constitution, but then you're woefully violating the Fourth Amendment, which is part of the Constitution, and the 14th Amendment too, because you're depriving someone of due process as well, right? And you're falsely imprisoning them, detaining them, so arresting them, charging them, maliciously prosecuting them based on literally nothing, no probable cause, because you're not enforcing a law, so you can't interfere with a non-law. That's not a criminal act, right? To not follow a policy, that's not a criminal matter whatsoever. So it's just the little hair in the soup there, right? Little detail that I don't think the city of Wayne's gonna be able to overcome, right? International Fire Code, show me the International Fire Code in the charter. I want to look at it, because you got to actually adopt it by putting the whole thing on the charter, and it's got to be readily available, and of course your community information part doesn't say that. So all right guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Terribly sorry about that. Where is my manners? Sometimes even I get caught slipping, guys, so. Sorry about that. And I was, a little busy there. Macking it up with the ladies, right? I don't know. Weird. Call me GC, baby. Good citizen. Oh, I tell him. Call me GC. Why you need my name, officer? Because they want to check you for warrants. They want to throw your information into a database. But why would they want to do that? Because everybody's a potential suspect. Right? Everybody's a suspect. Right? Everybody, right? You never heard the saying that, like, people unknowingly commit crimes all day long? Every day? I mean, I don't know how true this is, but apparently just by existing, you commit multiple misdemeanors or felonies a day or a month or a year or something. I don't know what the timeline is, but basically, there's so many laws and policies and, codes and all sorts of shit that apparently the average citizen breaks the law, quote unquote, all the time without even knowing. Or at least that's the popular narrative, right? That's the, kind of like accepted, view, right? So you're like, well, assuming that's even remotely true, if you can unknowingly commit crimes all day long, apparently, the average person, right? So that would help to explain some of the police's actions, I guess. right? Which of course, my response would be, well, it sounds like there's too many laws on the books, right? Because there is, right? I mean, like take the open burn policy, for instance, right? The city of Wayne has they have a hazards and nuisances ordinance 12.1. We have the open burn policy, right? Then they are trying to claim that they have the International Fire Code, right? And then now they have the open burn ordinance 2025-02, which was, passed after the fact, right? So, that is kind of crazy, right? That open burning, apparently there's 5 different sets of fucking rules to follow, if you will, according to the government. And it's just like, how could somebody comply with that? And then, of course, that's the whole point, right? The whole point is to make it overbroad and all-encompassing, so that way, if the occasion ever arises where, for whatever reason, you need to enforce these, laws or rules or policies or what have you, they're there ready to go. Right? It's like this open burn ordinance they passed, 2025-02. Mathematically, that outlaws virtually all open burning to 99% of the city, because 50 feet from a property line or a structure, well, let's do some basic math on this, right? What's the average size of a Wayne lot? You'd be lucky if the average width was 100 feet, right? So if it's below 104 feet, then mathematically, because you have to account for the actual displacement of the fire pit itself, right? So to be 50 feet from a lot line, right, you need at least 104 feet width, right? So that eliminates a significant portion of the entire city of Wayne from being able to open burn, right? And then, of course, we're not even considering depth yet, right? So depth, you need about double the depth, because the house has to be set back a certain amount from the road, right? So, and of course, the fire pit has to be in the rear yard completely. So you can't have it in the side or the front yard. So that narrow that eliminates a sizable amount of properties there. And then you're like, okay, well, it's got to be 50 feet from a shed or a lot line, a shed, any of that, right? So if you got to have the shed in the backyard as well. So you need, it depends on the shape of the property, but generally speaking, you need about 170 to 200 and so feet, right? 174 or something at minimum, right? Because you got to account for the house setback, and if there's a shed on the property, and there's all kinds of factors. The displacement of the house, right? So when you actually look at a map of Wayne and you do the math and you compare every lot in Wayne, residential lot, I mean, you're left with a handful of houses in the entire city that, mathematically speaking, they have enough land to where, assuming, right, that everything's perfect, right, assuming the best case scenario for those lots, they would be allowed to open burn. But I mean, you're talking like literally on my street, 2 people to my right for sure. I don't know about the lady by the Dollar Tree. I don't know, because she's got a shed in her backyard, and I think Her name's Karen. I don't think she can actually legally open burn. I haven't measured anything, right? I haven't went in anyone's backyard and measured and shit, but I know my neighbor next to me, Sue, she can have a fire pit. The lady next to her, Kathy, I think her name is, she, her house sets so far back from the road that one's questionable, right? But I know my direct neighbor, Sue, she definitely has enough space, and her fire pit's in a spot where I know for certain, just by visual observation, that yeah, it's within that 50 feet on each side, right? So you need that 104 feet buffer, right? Because you got to account for the fire pit, itself, right? So yeah, it's I just say about 104 feet of width at minimum. I know her property is wide enough and deep enough. So, and then my neighbor to my other side, Pat and Dennis, they from what I can tell, they have enough room to have a fire pit. That I believe is the second biggest in the city residentially, after mine, right? I have the biggest property in the city of Wayne, double lot, by 400 feet frontage, 300 feet of frontage, 400 feet of depth on average. So that pretty much kind of is it, right? And then there's one person next to Pat and Dennis. They have enough room. They have a big enough property where I think they can open burn. Just based on the math and based on visual observation. But other than that, after you get past that, lots get exponentially smaller, right? Quarter acre, maybe a third of an acre, maybe up to a half acre at most. And mathematically speaking, that's a bigger size lot in Wayne. If you have a half acre, that's a really big size lot in Wayne. Because most Wayne lots are really, really small. And we're talking like some lots are as small as like 5,000-6,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet. It's not that much. Mathematically speaking, like I said, there's like maybe a half a dozen or so properties in the city that like my property for sure is the only one. Like Al Haynes, right? He lives further down on Glenwood Road. He's got a pretty decent sized property, but it's the fire pit's got to be in the rear yard, and the way his house is like, it's not like perpendicular to the road. It's like opposite. So his front yard, his backyard is really his side yard. Again, he's got a fire pit in his front yard that he legally can't even use apparently anymore. So yeah, I mean, it's just like it's really interesting how moronic these people, how much of idiots apparently the entire city of Wayne seems to be. The city council, department heads, fire marshal, fire department, city attorney's office, because they were all in on it. You're not dealing with the best and the brightest. Let me just put it that way. You're dealing with people that just rolled into Stupid Town. They just rolled in from Stupid Town, and they're not gonna take no for an answer. It's kind of like it's like Facebook Marketplace. They know what they got for sale. They know what it's worth, There ain't no convincing them. So, yeah. I mean, you can show all the facts and data and evidence you want, but bottom line is, it's not so much about who votes. It's about who counts the votes, if you know what I mean. It's about who counts the votes. And, it's not really about the law. It's about who's enforcing the law, right? because if those that are enforcing the law are breaking and violating the law, well then it's called a conflict of interest, guys. And we used to universally recognize that those were, a bad thing, right? For due process, right? Especially, but the city's response to Lisa Albany assaulting and slamming a door into me on May 20th, 2026, to cover the glass so that way. The city of Wayne's response is to cover the glass on the door that Lisa Kobani used to commit battery against me. They're deciding to block the glass so that way more people can get the door slammed into them, right? So, continuing to victimize people in the city of Wayne. That is, the irony cannot be, well, neither over or understated. I mean, it certainly can't be overemphasized. I mean, you're just talking pure and utter fucking degeneracy, right? I mean, the irony is unbelievable. Oh. I mean, it's unbelievable if you really think about it, right? Like, a city worker slams a door into a private citizen on the clock, on live video, in front of two cameras that, just mysteriously both weren't working, right? Imagine that. And, the glass on the window that was used to violate my rights, right, is then covered. So that way, now the door can get slammed into some more people. Accidentally, of course. It's their new plausible deniability, right? So now the next time I'm standing outside that door, trying to listen into what they're saying inside those walls, now they can slam the door into me and then say, "Oh, sorry about that. Didn't see you there." And you're like, I got you. I see what you're doing. Right. I see what you're doing, guys. Mm-hmm. But what chaps my ass the most is the city of Wayne lying, right? Finley Carter, D.I. Carter, lying in an email saying that Wayne County Prosecutor's Office reviewed the case and decided not to pursue charges. And then when you call Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, they say, no, that's a lie. And then you're like, oh, okay. So then you relay that information back to the idiot that said it. And then that idiot goes, Finley Carter we're talking about. He goes, oh yeah, no, it was actually Carrie Miller. Carrie Miller, the same city attorney who, retaliatorily prosecuted me for exercising my First Amendment. The same woman that prosecuted me under the color of law with absolutely zero possibility of probable cause, right? Because you can't violate a law that don't exist, right? And you can't lawfully enforce a law that doesn't exist, right? And there can't be criminal charges for interfering with the enforcement of a law that doesn't exist. Mm-mm. Like I said, all we got to establish is that the first day there was no probable cause. Which, unless you have earmuffs on and fucking earplugs, and you just took a dab hit and well, decker dildo, um, you can't really ignore reality, right? Unless you're just a corrupt piece of shit, right? Then, But no, the facts of this case are so undeniable. The, the evidence speaks for itself, you know. Evidence speaks for itself. So, and we're in good hands. We're in good hands, and we're very thankful for that. We're very thankful that we've had some very good people come into our life recently and help give us guidance and direction and help with this case and cases. So, we're very thankful for that, and we're very happy that we're very happy to know that there's still good people out there, because that's what we've learned from this case. Is that there are a lot of tyrants and evildoers, pieces of shit, right, in power. There's no doubt about that. But there is such thing as a good attorney. There's just few and far between. But we found a few of them. Thankfully, we found a few of them. So due to that, we'll try to take us to the promised land. We'll try to take the city in the right direction, right? Which is accountability, transparency, and inclusiveness, right? Where opposing viewpoints are allowed to peacefully coexist, and we can work together towards common collective good, right? And the collective good is very simple in a way. And we want lower taxes, we want cleaner streets, and we want to be left the fuck alone. We want liberty, we want freedom, we want a police department. If we're going to have a police department, we want a police department that solves crime, right? If not, we can just turn it over to Michigan State Police or Wayne County or something and be done with it, right? Or we can decide, hey, we're actually going to have a real police department, hire a real chief of police and a real leadership, and we're actually going to start properly training our police to uphold constitutional rights and civil rights, and to be peace officers, and to engage in conflict resolution, right? Like these people are supposed to set a example for the community, not violate the community that they're supposed to serve, right? So I'm open for everything. I'm all ears, right? I don't care if you agree or disagree with me. That's not what's important. What's important is, which side are you on? Are you on the side of reason and evidence and logic and common fucking sense, or are you in the camp of, oh, fuck you, I do what I want, and fuck you, I got mine, right? I mean, that's essentially what the city of Wayne leadership has become, is fuck you, I got mine. And I don't like that. I don't like that, and I know you don't either. I know a lot of you watching don't like that. I know a lot of you in the city of Wayne don't like what has transpired, and we'll see. I mean, we only need a few hundred votes, right? We only need, right? I mean, now that's not to get overconfident, but I'm just saying, it's these aspirations that we have are not that far-fetched. We just have to be willing to risk it all for what we believe in. Well, you guys don't. You guys just have to go to the polls and click a button and go home, and or get a ballot and check my name, and that's all you gotta do. Very simple process, and then we can get a lot of things rolling, right? So choice is simple. It's really not rocket science. But again, I'm just one man, and I'll do what I can, and I'll do more than most. I'll tell you that. I'll do what is needed to get the job done. I will fall on the sword. I will take one for the team, right, so to speak. But just need your vote. That's all I need, guys. Just vote and go on with your day. And then I'll be around to check on you. Do some some door knocking. Door knocking, and yeah, because I want to get to know each and every citizen in Wayne, and get to know what's important, right? Things that maybe I'm not even aware of, or things that people notice, right? That I'm not living in their neighborhoods. I can't see everything, and so of course I would love to get to meet and get to know everyone humanly possible, so I can be the best representative that I can be. But I have a pretty good idea. Got a pretty good idea of what's going on. Because I tell you what, people of Wayne, that's some good shit. Let me tell you that for one. Shout out to Smiles and Wayne. Good shit. But I've been called a lot of things, guys. Crazy, mentally unstable, lunatic, whatever, right? I've been called all sorts of pejorative shit. But one thing I have not heard yet to be called in by, I have yet to hear people call me wrong. I have yet to see a single soul even allege that I'm wrong about anything, which is crazy because none of us are perfect about a lot of things, especially biblically, of course. The only person that's ever been perfect on earth is somebody we should be reading about on a daily basis, the Messiah, God himself in the flesh, Jesus Christ. That is the only person that is perfect, a perfect human being. And I'm not that. But, I've been called a lot of things in Wayne, but not wrong. I've been called wrong by a single soul. Crazy, but not wrong. So, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you're making your choices. Because I can guarantee you, I'm not taking a salary, and, my whole thing is, I'm looking to, turn shit around, right? For the greater good, and I'm not taking money to do it. I've lost quite a lot of money so far, living here and experiencing what I've experienced, and I don't do it for the money, guys. I would have a lot more money if had I not ever spoke my mind to the city of Wayne, and had I not ever had any political aspirations to run for office, right? Had the city of Wayne not continuously violated me to the point to where I had to, deal with them, right? I have, and that's cost quite a lot. That's been quite an extensive cost, and so I certainly do what I do for the right reasons, right? Because I know the truth and I know what's what, and I'm gonna stand my ground and I'm gonna fight for what's right, and um, if I gotta stand at the gates of hell, right, I'm gonna do it. There's just simply no option, right? There's no option. There's no way that I can quit. There's no way I can give up. Um, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We're gonna see it through to the bitter end because it's not about the money. It's about my neighbors, and it's about the people that I care about and the people that I love. And the people that I love and care about need me at my best. And when I'm being, vilified, right, for my beliefs and for my speech and for my opinions and for my beliefs and um, for you, um, that's impacting my ability to be at my best for not just my family and my friends, but for myself, right? This is taking an extensive amount of time away from me to be able to pursue other things, right? Other things that I would like to pursue that I haven't been able to pursue financially or just with my time, right? Because this whole thing, it's unfortunately it consumed my life, right? I mean, when I got arrested on May 9th, and I went through this process where things just kept escalating and escalating and escalating. And because I wasn't willing to back down, or I wasn't willing to bend the knee or toe the line, the city of Wayne continued to escalate, to escalate, to escalate, to escalate until finally, May 19th, right? The whole fucking fiasco with that. And what followed that, right? Which was, continuous bond violation after bond violation. You go to your arraignment, you're almost held in contempt of court for trying to get clarification on what crime you're being charged with, right? Because, they're bringing these charges like the day, like literally live, right? The chart, like you have no idea about the charge, and then all of a sudden you're, being told about another charge that, you never even were notified of, and apparently you've been charged with this for a month, basically, and you don't know single thing about it. So I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to clarify, my due process rights and some other things. And then, of course, I was nearly held in contempt of court by Judge Brita O'Leary. It was transferred to another court, to a different judge, and it was transferred, punted down the road, right? And then, of course, the first hearing, the city attorney Carrie Miller is introducing this open burn policy as an exhibit into court, into evidence, live, bringing the fire chief with her and all this and that, and legitimizing this open burn ordinance, as they kept referring to it as, which it's a policy, open burn policy for controlled fires in the city of Wayne. And but that didn't stop them, right? They, I guess, tried to hoodwink not only my attorney, but the judge and the world, right? I mean, they hoodwinked the entire court. And, legitimized and ratified and, you know, paraded this open burn policy around as if it was a duly enacted ordinance, that it had any uh, authoritative authoritative force, right? And and then to watch a DPW worker in front of my house, you know, in a city vehicle, live on the clock, you know, blocking my driveway and yelling obscenities at me. Needless to say, you know, the police got called, and then of course I was the victim of a crime. But yeah, I was the one who was under arrest, you see, because I violated a conditional bond violation because the city determined retroactively that it wasn't an actual while I was in court just hours before. I again tried to get clarification on what that meant, and I was not, you know, given a clear and concise answer, right? So being very loose with the bond conditions, right? Being very ambiguous with them and vague, right? And over breadth, right? Over broad, right? Just kind of like it's all encompassing, right? It's up to our discretion, and we get to not define the words and the rules, and then, you know, you're just left at your own peril. You're left at your own peril to figure it out, and hopefully you figure it out, right? Because they also, like, you know, I remember the Wayne Fire Department, or the police department rather, they made a comment to me that, well, you know, if people, you know, are in front of your house yelling things at you, whatever, that, you know, it's just, you just got to deal with it, you know. And I'm like, well, not if they're a city employee on the clock in their official capacity. I said, that's not, no. So, yeah, I mean, it was a setup, and then they used that as a conditional bond violation, and then I was under arrest for that. And then because I didn't, you know, allow them to just walk me into a dungeon with glee in their face, right? I didn't allow that to occur. And I, of course, you know, was just bum rushed, and immediately bum rushed, and stop resisting, stop resisting. You don't even know what's going on. You're just like, what are you talking about? Resist? Like, what's going on? And, you know, they're trying to, you know, slam you into your new car, and, you know, all this and that. And you're just like, no, I'm not putting up with this abuse. Like, I'm just not putting up with it. I'm not putting up with this abuse. You know, use brass knuckles, right? Like Colwell did, right? Punching a disabled veteran in the side of the head while he's completely defenseless with his back turned, right? With his back turned, posing no threat to nobody, and passively resisting at most, right? And of course, that's like, I mean, we can have an argument about that, but that's not like a threat, you know, that's not an imminent danger, that's not a hazard, right? That's not something that warrants, you know, body slamming, choking somebody, punching somebody in the side of the head while they're defenseless with their back turned, you know, getting tackled to the ground, getting elbows put in your throat. Like, that's like disproportionate force and escalation beyond, you know, anything that's reasonable, right? I mean, the arrest, quite frankly, wasn't even lawful, you know, but I understand that that's something that, you know, whatever, that's whatever, but, you know, there just simply wasn't any reasonable articulation, right? There wasn't no reasonable, well, I guess reason. There wasn't no valid reason. There wasn't no fucking lawful reason to escalate to that level of force. You know, it's just like I said, it's got to be equal combat, right? Proportionality matters, and you know, it's wildly out of proportion, and yeah, it was excessive force, right? That's what it was, excessive force, and you know, I believe illegal detainment. We'll see what the appeal courts have to say, and yeah, I mean, it's I believe it's a valid arrest. I believe it's a completely because the bond condition is unconstitutional, and the in someone's backyard to enforce a law that doesn't exist, and then say they're interfering with you. It's like, no, I have a possessory interest to this property. I have a right to enjoy this property however the fuck I want, quite frankly, and I definitely have a right to enjoy the property like.
Hey man.
What up, dude?
What up?
Just live streaming.
Hmm?
Twitch.
Oh.
Twitching it up. Tweaking on the tube. What are you doing?
Well, no, I was just about get some noodles.
Damn, go get your noodles, buddy.
What are you up to?
Just playing with my camel toe.
Oh.
Playing with my camel toe, my moose knuckle.
You sound stressed out today.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that stuff on video or body camera? Oh, yeah. I got all of it, Joe. It's all, you should, they deleted the video. They won't let me post the video because it's, whatever, right? It's to whatever, PG-13, or it's over PG-13 level or something. I don't know. So, yeah, I have it though, absolutely. It's just been pretty much, I think I got a strike, if I'm not mistaken, for that video. So, oh yeah, my wife got everything, thank God. Other people were there, they got everything. So. Thank God. But yeah, we just using the crack torch lighter. Don't mind me. Crack torch, that's how we roll. That's what I tell people. You wanna use it? Hit you with that crack torch. Yeah, you're not ready for all that. That fire. But yeah, I mean, we're ready for whatever. We're ready for whatever. We just want peace, but we're also not little cuck bitches that are just going to bow down and do whatever daddy government says. Fuck daddy government. Daddy government works for me, not the other way around. Daddy government accommodates me. I'm not accommodating them. You understand? Their obligation is to accommodate what the fuck I need and want. Fuck what they need and want. I'm going to be frank with you. The government works for the people, and it's time that they be remembered of that little factoid, right? It's time that they be fucking put in their place. Like good little, like the city of Wayne, right? The citizens of Wayne collectively have got to put the Wayne government in the cuck chair. Okay. Right. The little chair in the corner in the hotel. That's where the city of Wayne needs to go sit, in the little cuck chair. For good. The people of Wayne need to take back their fucking city from these evildoer morons, right? Because that's what they are. They're fucking morons. And they're not even good at, they suck at that even. Just think about that, bro. How big of a fucking failure do you got to be to not, you failed in the Blackwell case, you're failing in the Miller case, and you never had a chance in the McFarlin case. That's how stupid you guys are. I mean, again, like, the city of Wayne could get a bailout. It's very possible they will by the courts. They've already gotten a couple, but I mean, long term, right? Is it going to be enough? That remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, I think we're going to do well. I think we have sound evidence, right? I mean, more than anything, I mean, the fucking evidence is just mind blowing. I mean, the evidence just speaks for itself, right? I mean, it's that powerful. So, that's where it gets really tricky, right? Like, it's a little tricky. Ooh. So, stick the pinky in the butthole, whatever you want to do. Stick the pinky in the butthole and go like this, right? Give them a little Hitler stash. You know what I mean? Give the city of Wayne what they deserve, which is their Hitler stash. Go. Everybody. This is what everybody needs to do collectively to the city of Wayne, to the department heads, to the council, to anybody, the city manager especially. Take your finger and just kind of just a little bit, right, and just put it right on there. Put it right there for them. Put it right there for them. Right, their little Hitler shit stash, right? That's what you need to give them. Everybody, that's how you do it, right? You want me to expose these people for what they are, which is literally fucking Hitler, right? Hitler, these people. Let me tell you, right? It's not even close. Well, it's a figure of speech, of course, right? Figure of speech, but yeah, these people in body count, right? But in other ways, they, I mean, the same sort of patterns and trends and erratic behavior. But yeah, that's what everybody, if you guys want to really expose these people for what they are, I definitely will do it without a doubt. I will put my life on the line. I'll continue to put my life on the line to bring you guys, neighborhood watchdog, right, is what I am, right? I'm a neighborhood watchdog. I'm your neighborhood watchdog. And, I have no issue recording and, sharing with the world what's going on, right? Like WikiLeaks, right? WikiLeaks just, call me the WikiLeaks of Wayne, Michigan, right? I just want to show the world what's up. I want the public to be well fucking informed, right? Well fucking informed, and I want the people of Wayne to be freer, right? Freer than what we have now, and I believe we can do that. I believe we can do that with enough time, right? With enough perseverance, right? It's not going to be easy. We're going to have to be very persistent, very firm, right? Firm, right? Elbow deep. You got to go elbow deep in them. You got to go elbow deep in that ass for them to understand, right? Because they're some sick fucks, and that butthole is already loose as fuck, and they enjoy it, right? They're sick, right? They enjoy this shit to an extent, right? But they don't want to deal with elbow deep in the ass, right? Because even they can't handle that, right? Nobody can. So, that's pretty much where we're at with it, guys. Is we have a 93-page motion, right? Or not motion, rather a complaint, and we have 400 or 500 pages of exhibits, and it's pretty beefy complaint. It's got some weight to it. It's got a little heft to it. It's a full 8-inch. It's a full 8-incher. It's no less. I mean, it's a not bone pressed measurement. This is just a solid ass 8. Right? We're going as hard as we can, guys. Hard as we can for liberty. Because that's what this fucking case boils down to. I mean, it's my case shows more than anybody that we are in a police state. We are in a police state. These flock cameras, if we don't get these flock cameras under control, people, we're fucked. You understand me? If we don't get these flock cameras under control in the city of Wayne, Westland, surrounding areas, Wayne County, the state of Michigan in general, if we don't do something about these flock cameras, we are fucking cooked, guys. Civil rights are cooked. And so, we really, as a community, if you give a fuck at all about liberty, you give a fuck at all about being able to have freedom and privacy, and I understand, no expectation of privacy in public. I understand that better than anybody. But, these feds, these police, and these law enforcement agencies, as these pigs, right? As you've clearly seen, they're not exactly the most, you know, integrity filled people, right? There's some questionable policies and tactics and antics at play here, right? And I just want you guys to be aware. You know, I just want people to be aware. I just want people to have knowledge, so that way they can better prepare. Because this could happen anywhere, right? These type of things, and these flat cameras guys are gonna they're gonna fuck a lot. They're already fucking a lot of people up, right? A lot of people are getting fucked up by these flat cameras, and you know, God only knows what they're gonna use. You know, God only knows what they're gonna use the technology for, and I mean, it's just getting to the point where everybody's becoming a criminal, right? I mean, I was watching a video the other day, right, talking about, back in the day, right, like people like a guy that grew up in Alaska, right? I used to know a guy from the military who grew up in Alaska, and he's like, we'd go on a field trip way up north somewhere, and we would like pull over on the side of the road, and we'd like all the boys would just take a piss on the side of the road, right? I mean, that was just like normal things, right? Like you take a piss in your yard, and it's just like normal thing, right? Like, and he said nowadays, right, with the flat cameras and everything, like they'll try to put you on the sex offender registry for that type of shit now. They will, what still really is perfectly normal behavior, they will try to criminalize and turn it into a fucking felony and sex offender charges and weaponize it like you wouldn't believe, right? Something that's just, guy has to take a pee, and he was talking about, like, back in the day, right, like Gen X or they used to, have, what did he say? Oh, we used to have sex in our cars. We just pull over, take a pee, and have sex in the car, right? And he's like, yeah, it was a great time, great era to live in, and it was nice. And he said, nowadays, shit, you have sex in your car, you're a sex offender. I mean, it's just the absurdity of where our country has went. And now with these cameras, right? I mean, they're of course trying to sell these cameras under the guise of, safety, right? Got to protect the children, got to protect the women, got to protect the elderly, right? Got to protect the minorities, got to protect everybody, right? They'll sell it as if it's like, oh man, if you don't support those slot cameras, well, what happens if it's your child, right? I mean, that's the type of bullshit arguments, straw men, red herring arguments they'll use, right? They'll use these fucking bullshit arguments, and it's all just designed so they can take away your freedom, take away your rights, take away your privacy, take away all your data, right? Sell your data, right? Freely distribute your data amongst, not only their networks, but other networks, right? Other government agencies, and other entities, right? Who knows? God only knows, right? And of course, the illusion of safety, of course, as you guys know, right? That's what the police really are, guys. I want you to understand, right? The police are merely an illusion of safety, right? And now, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, if somebody murders somebody, or if somebody rapes somebody, or if somebody fucking does a, felonious, violent crime on somebody. Yeah, I mean, I want those people in prison. I want those people severely punished, and I want, the debt to society to be rebuilt. You know, if there's a real victim, oh, absolutely, absolutely, right. I want, you know, fair and, you know, reasonable enforcement, right? I want the public protected in that sense, right? I want people protected in general. Right? I want, you know, like, hey, if this guy is murdering people, yeah, I don't want him on the street. But like outside of like clear cut examples like that, where there's like a clear victim, and you know, here's the knife, and here's his fingerprints on it, and here's a video of him stabbing the shit out of the person just for good measure. You know, so we can say with 100% certainty this is the guy without a doubt. And yeah, he even admitted to the crime too. So you know, you got the fucking trifecta. You know. And so yeah, situations like that, sure, life in prison, preferably just give them the chair, a lot more efficient, a lot less, you know, money and bullshit, right? Just give them the chair, right? But we live in Michigan, we've never had the death penalty really, so um, yeah, life in prison's cool, right? That's cool. And at least, you know, 40 years, 50 years, right? Something just insane, right? And yeah, I mean, what else can I do? What else can I say? Um, but you know, we that's not what these flat cameras are for. These flat cameras, of course, the vast majority of what they're going to be used for is surveillance, mass surveillance, facial recognition. You know, maybe just like hey, this police agency is watching this guy, so they're gonna, you know, constantly flock in and, you know, check on them and see how they're doing. And you know, you're just supposed to trust the government with all your data and data. And um, well, data and data are the same thing, but you know, just trust them with it all, huh? Just trust that they're not gonna abuse it, right? Even though you've seen them, that they'll, you know, unalive somebody on camera and then continue to shoot his dead body and scream, "Stop resisting! Drop the knife!" Like the guy's